All right, everybody. We are live. It is June 19th, 2020. Welcome to the NPCs Weekly News Roundup live stream. My name is Travis, and of course, I am joined via Discord, because of the pandemic, by the one, the only, Kyle. Good evening, Kyle.
What's up?
Man, we got, I guess, not necessarily a lot to talk about like we did last week. Let's hope we don't take 2 hours here. But in the news this week, we've, of course, got EA's Play Live recap to go over all the games that they talked about and announced and showed off there. We've got some things about, of course, Cyberpunk going on too. We're going to talk about a video game that was approved by the FDA. And then we've got, of course, another lawsuit on our hands, but this time it's not towards Nintendo. Or it's actually one that a lot of people have seen before. So we're going to go ahead and roll that intro, and we will go ahead and get into talking about this week's news. All right. And let's go ahead and jump in here into our first story, and this is definitely the biggest one from this week, and that is the EA Play Live. So this is a story from tomsguide.com, who actually had a pretty good shortened down list of what was actually announced and discussed. So Kyle, I tuned in about halfway and then had to play some catch up here, of course, at the tail end to figure out, of course, what was talked about in that. How much did you catch up on?
I only got the tail end of it. I had planned on watching it later tonight
Okay. Well, guess what?
if I had the opportunity. So
Guess
yeah.
what? You're in luck. You get to listen in on it here and hear about what's going on. So, of course, with everything that's going on right now, I'll kind of scroll up as we're talking about these. But of course, as with everything that's going on right now with the global pandemic, all of our frontline workers, of course, though too, and of course the Black Lives Matter movement and all the protests that are going on right now, EA, of course, stepped up and they talked about it at the very beginning of their presentation. But of course, their biggest focus was on games. They, as a company, just wanted to make mention of it, of course, anyway. So the first thing that was talked about was Apex Legends. So Respawn talked about Season 5 and Fortune's Favor, and there is a new collection event coming up called Lost Treasure. They're going to introduce a bunch of new items, which should make the experience a little more unpredictable. Looks like they said one of the items you could get is a little golden statue, which seems charming. It's actually a charm for Mirage here, who's actually pictured on the screen right now. Lost Treasures will also include a fan favorite game type, snipers and shotguns with mobile respawn points. That was actually fun. And also, they did announce that Apex Legends is going to be coming to sorry about the audio there, folks. Is going to be coming to Switch as well as coming to Steam. So, Kyle, right now I've actually got the trailer that they demoed or they showed during the EA Play. So, biggest thing, of course, is the sniper and shotgun event happened, I believe, late last year. I think it was something with, it might have either been with the holidays or may have been just before the holiday tie-in event. The whole, how every game, like multiplayer game, has to have some sort of Christmas thing going on.
Right.
Yeah, so this is a mode that they put in. So, of course, shotguns and snipers, and this will be the first event with the snipers since they've changed the whole sniper mechanic itself. So you don't just have assault rifles that can use assault rifle ammo but be set up to basically be snipers. This is quite literally segmenting out the snipers that use sniper ammunition and everything. So this is going to be the first. This is going to be the first time we're going to see that part of the mechanic used in the event. On top of it, though, too, of course, as we're going through the trailer here, I'll actually kind of just jump ahead a little bit anyway. I do like the mobile respawn point. I think my kid's going to have a hell of a time with that one.
Yeah, it looks like the original snipers and shotguns event happened just before the holiday event. So I actually didn't take part in that one because that was right after I quit playing Apex.
Yeah, and see, I played Apex this week, and it didn't feel right to me. Maybe I just need a little bit more time to kind of get back into the habit of it, but it just didn't feel right. But that's a discussion for another day on this one. But anyway, with the Apex Legends, of course, not only did they announce that it's going to be coming to Nintendo Switch, which just as it is on PC right now and Xbox and PS4, it is a free download. It should be the same for the Switch, but they're also bringing cross-play, which means if you download it on any of the consoles or you download it on PC from Origin or Steam, you will be able to play together via crossplay. So anybody who hasn't had the chance to take up Apex Legends, especially if you like, I guess the Switch is being the big one, you can now play there. I don't know how it's going to play on Switch. I tried it on Xbox One a little bit. I don't know if you have, Kyle, but it's okay. I mean, it's a shooter on a console.
Yeah, yeah. No, I played it primarily on Xbox One. I imagine it'll work just fine on the Switch. Probably, if nothing else, I would hope maybe a little bit better than Fortnite does. But that's just me speculating. Of course, we won't actually see it until we get like actual good long play footage to see if it does stand up. But as far as the crossplay thing goes, I mean, at this point, it should be an industry standard. It's really cool that they are actually activating it now that they are putting it out on the Switch, especially, I would say.
Yeah, I think what that's going to do is that's going to help keep the market from being alienated, I suppose. The fact that...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you're not segmenting off the whole... all the different multiplayer types, because multiplayer on the Switch right now is abysmal, to say the least. I mean, you're talking...
Very much so.
Yeah, anything that's Nintendo first party, or even... Well, no, actually, everything that's multiplayer on the Switch is technically Nintendo first party. I mean, Splatoon, Smash Brothers, Animal Crossing. It's...
No, Minecraft you can play...
yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, you can do that one. And Fortnite as well, too. I'm just saying that, like, Nintendo-specific stuff, there really isn't a big enough following on there, at least, or a big enough multiplayer thing that you're going to be able to find a match with relative speed compared to now doing crossplay, where you're going to match up with PC and console players, too. So,
right.
So that's going to be a big thing. Moving on, of course, there was some discussion, of course, about EA continuing to push games onto Steam now that they're kind of branching out a little bit there. They did talk about The Sims 4 is now available on Steam too, at least as of the announcement yesterday. They also are adding games like Titanfall 2 and Dead Space 3 to Steam, but they also put some emphasis on the remastered Command and Conquer, which I didn't actually know there was a remastered Command and Conquer. I'm a little miffed that I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's been out for a couple months, and what it is it's a remaster of Tiberium War and the first Red Alert.
Okay.
So I mean, aside from a graphical upgrade, there's really nothing different about it. If you've got the I want to say it's the anniversary edition or the collector's edition or whatever they call it. It's got all 17 Command and Conquer titles in it. Really and truly, side by side, they don't look all that much different. I mean, it's going to run a little bit smoother. You're going to get a little bit more sharper images, but I mean, yeah, it's the same game.
Okay, well that's good. So in my mind, of course, with remastered games, that I always go back to like Warcraft 3 Reforged, and we saw what happened with that disaster of a re-release. So I was kind of hoping, at least, but with the way you're talking, that gives me a little bit of hope, and I will have to go pick this one up for myself too, because I loved playing Command and Conquer Red Alert. That was, I think, my first RTS I ever played, and then that led into StarCraft 1. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a good one. And then they, of course, said that Need for Speed Heat is going to be a Switch port, but they didn't really talk too much about that either. They also talked about a lot of original titles as well. They talked about the original Unravel game. They talked about A Way Out. They are also talking about, of course, so Hazelight Studios, the company that made A Way Out, is also making a game called It Takes Two. It's a cooperative platformer where you play as two animated dolls. It's supposed to be an emotional experience that marries the story and mechanics, and it's supposed to be out next year. I think I caught the tail end of this one when I was first able to tune in. It looked like... What was the game? what was the game we talked about where it was the kid who was on an adventure of some type, like he was kind of climbing around, and it turns out that his dad had like lost him at sea, and so the kid came back as like a ghost to help his dad get over the grief or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
We talked about it in a podcast. I think we talked about like in emotional moments, and I can't remember the name of the game, but it was some type of platformer, and you didn't know what was going on until you got to the end. But like a kid fell over the boat, was lost at sea, you end up going through like the actual platformer, getting I think like bits of your like red coat or red cape back or something. Yeah,
I just don't remember it.
I'll have to try to find the name of the game for you and drop it to you here later. Another game, though, too, that was announced as one of these EA originals was something called Rocket Arena. And I don't know, especially with an overall mechanic around rockets, the way the camera came across in this, it really felt like, okay, is it going to be a kind of Super Smash Brothers looking, while it'd be 3D, it'd be just, a side profile of the game itself. And no, it turns out that this is an actual arena type shooter. I got some vibes of Overwatch with it, especially like with the power ups.
Yeah, they do describe it as a hero shooter. So.
Which, yeah, really, Overwatch is definitely the big thing. But with this game itself, though, it really emphasizes, of course, the use of rockets. Everybody uses rockets differently in here. Rockets, of course, are shot off in different ways, too, whether they're coming from like a spear or a staff or something that looks like a rocket launcher or some type of something in general. Anyway, not to kind of get off there.
The gimmick of the game is every weapon is a rocket.
Bingo. Thank you. Good clarification on that. Yeah, so it being a hero shooter, of course, though, too, they didn't really say much about the game itself on exactly how, like, what it's going to be like, other than, of course, you're just running around shooting each other. It doesn't show anything objective-wise. There was no talk about anything capture the flag. There wasn't any of that. So thus far, at least, it looks like it's just going to be a lot more just blowing people up. But I'm sure there's probably objective-based stuff that they haven't talked about yet. I don't know. I mean, this one looks interesting. I'm not really sold on playing it, though. Like, it hasn't, like, pulled me in.
I feel like where we're at right now in the video game world, that if you're releasing a game that's specifically multiplayer, unless it's tailored to a certain audience like Rainbow Six Siege, it pretty much has to be a free-to-play at this point. So it makes me wonder, are we going to be seeing another free-to-play hero shooter along the lines of Valorant or Valorant, or however you want to pronounce it?
Yeah, that's what also confuses me too. And I don't think it's going to be free to play, but I think it's going to be probably an affordable hero shooter experience. I think you're probably talking about maybe a $20 game. That's the way it really feels to me, is that it doesn't seem like it's going to be a $60 release.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I expect you to only spend, that much money on it, and you carry on. I might check it out, especially if it is either low cost or free, but I can't see spending $60 on it, especially for 3v3 combat.
Yeah,
that just seems very little, especially in the grand scheme of hero shooters. So
yeah, and like I said, really and truly, unless you're catering towards a specific audience like Overwatch or like Rainbow Six, it's really hard to put out a multiplayer game and expect to charge money for it, and expect to get that $60 price tag. I mean, Overwatch has done a really, really good job at putting out constant updates, whereas Rainbow Six, they've planned to make that a 10-year game, and really and truly, every year, they release a new season pass that's $50 essentially, but you also get $50 worth of content as far as events and special stuff. You get a new operator, which usually actually changes the entire meta of a game.
That is a big thing, and that's why it's where's going to be the differentiator with rockets. Like, what is going to be the actual like, okay, this person can shoot a rocket. Okay, I assume these rockets probably have special abilities tied to them that if this person shoots a rocket, the area of effect is going to cause damage to the enemy team, but might maybe heal the team to this point. Or, this rocket goes off and it's a homing rocket, or you shoot it off and it allows you to steer it, to a certain point too. I don't know. We just got to wait to see more. I don't think they actually had a release date for. Oh, I take that back. They did.
Yeah, July 14th, actually.
Yeah, July 14th, and then its first competitive season begins on July 22nd. So here we go.
Out pretty soon.
Yeah, and then of course we'll probably see this as a esports for some weird reason. So
yeah.
Anyway, so the next game that's on the list here that actually came out too is it's from Zoink Games, and they're working on something called Lost in Random. It's about a little girl lost in a strange world with a sentient six-sided die as a companion. It's not supposed to be coming out till 2021, and it's an action adventure with a creepy gothic art style, at least per the notes here from Tom's guide. So this game, I actually do kind of like the charm of it. I do kind of like the gothic look to it, a lot of the darkness that goes with it too. I get kind of some vibes of like Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline kind of combined together. So, but I mean, action adventure with a sentient six-sided die. I don't really know.
Yeah, that's a very bizarre. Yeah, bizarre description. So
how do you exactly describe what's going on? I mean, I assume that the dice has to actually play some sort of I can't believe I'm saying this. The dice has to play some sort of role in how things go. Like the dice rolls or something, and whatever number it lands on has some sort of combat ability or special ability, which in this trailer for these couple little bits, it looks like it does. So, but it does have that charm of a claymation movie or TV show.
Yeah, that's definitely one that it'd be. I'll need to see some like actual like solid gameplay to check out. Like see the they do show, I guess, some gameplay, but I mean, just those snippets. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's very vague. Be interesting to see.
Yep, it really is. And of course, the big one that they talked about. I mean, they talked about Madden 21. They talked about the next FIFA game as well. They talked about a lot of the enhancements with the games there, which it's FIFA and Madden. I mean, I'm not a sports game player, so I don't. I guess I don't get it. Why the releases, the next ones up are like.
I think they kind of had to make the announcement because it really and truly those are EA's cash cows.
They are. They really are. You are not wrong in any of that whatsoever. I'm just saying I don't really get a lot of the value, of course, of buying a new sports game every year. I don't know. It's just me.
And just out of curiosity, I did look up the pricing on Origin for Rocket Arena. Looks like the standard pre-order is going to be $29.99, or is $29.99. For the Mythic Edition is $39.99.
I assume the Mythic, you probably get some additional skins or unlock something else.
Yeah, it looks like you get a bonus 1,000 rocket fuel, 2 epic VFX trails,
okay,
and 3 epic outfits, and a mythic guardian outfit for one of the characters. So I mean, you get some extra in-game items for 10 extra bucks. But it looks like there is a more complete listing on that one in the store if you do want to check it out.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that probably after the stream here. I'm just more $30 for this game. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've seen enough, to say it's like, okay, do I want to buy another competitive shooter game where the gimmick is rockets and different rocket types for $30?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I want to see more about it, and maybe I'll pick it up later on, depending, of course, on what comes out of it. But let's move in, of course, like I said, with Madden and FIFA being announced. But of course, the big announcement and bigger discussion, and there's definitely something much bigger, but it was only talked about for a tiny bit, was Star Wars Squadrons was officially talked about. Now, we discussed this last week because the trailer had, or the leak had come out because of the Xbox Game Store actually had art up for it, and then they pulled that down really quick because they dropped it too early. So we at least saw it, they confirmed it, and we got a 2-minute trailer on Monday, and now we've actually had the full reveal.
And this has popped up a couple times in our news, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it has. So, so Squadrons has officially been shown off, at least, to a point. Most of the stuff they showed off was actually cutscene levels. You snoring back there? Dog. I got the dog behind me, Kyle, and he's just like, I heard some snoring coming from back there. I was just making sure he's still alive. So what they've showed off so far, of course, is that outside of the cutscenes, there was some gameplay stuff. They talked about the game modes, but ultimately this is going to be set just after the events of Return of the Jedi, but before Force Awakens. So this is probably going to be somewhere closer to maybe the Mandalorian's time period. But a lot of the stuff we're seeing in here is, the hope that we'd be getting back to like what Rogue Squadron was. This has a lot more of the feeling of the original Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2's space battles. It doesn't...
Very much so. Especially when it comes to like ship selection and whatnot. I feel like you have this, or this. It's not, you have this myriad of ships you can choose from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're stuck with A-Wing, X-Wing, the U-Wing, which was introduced in the Rogue One, and what is it? Let's say A-Wing, X-Wing, the U-Wing, and the Y-Wing. Yep. So you got all your different types there, and then of course for the Empire, you've got your TIE Fighter, your TIE Bomber, your TIE Interceptor, which is what Vader flew, I think, was the Interceptor. You got their Bomber one as well, and then or TIE Bomber, I already said that. And there was another one that they showed off here too. I can't remember the actual model of it, but yeah, you're really kind of limited on selection. I hope they open up more choices, I guess, as time goes on. Like maybe they'll start to introduce maybe some of the off-end craft, like the B-Wing, or some of the others.
Maybe they didn't necessarily want to, because this is listed as a VR title as well.
It is, actually. Yeah, that's very true.
So maybe in order to be able to get that type of support for the VR, and to make this launch window that they're shooting for, they didn't include that. So maybe they plan on making it a second game. Who knows? And maybe they'll have to see numbers for this game to actually decide what they want to do with the franchise. But it's been 10 years or more since we've seen a Star Wars fighter game like this, and we had this discussion, I think, last time as well.
I think it's actually been longer than that, because Battlefront 1 and 2, the most recent ones, have the fighter aspect, like the actual space battle aspect in it, but on a scale of what we were used to, so going back to like the Rogue Squadron days, this is going to be much closer to that, if not closer to the original Battlefront 1 and 2. So I'm curious to exactly see like what else is going to come of this. I guess the limited selection of ships is,
I will say,
fine.
Though, the fact that they give you the option to modify your ships with different components, though, it's almost like they bled a little Need for Speed into my Star Wars game, and I'm okay with that. I think that's a really neat thing to do with a Star Wars thing that they haven't done yet.
Right. I guess that's, I guess that offers that level of it. But when you're talking about only 5v5 in this, I don't know if that's enough to really differentiate out anyway, because you're not going to be playing against many people. I would figure that you'd want to have a larger space battle, but maybe they're going to slowly roll it out to see exactly how much this taxes their servers once everything goes live. So the mode that I'm seeing here in the video right now, of course, that I got up behind me, is this one is actually very similar to what you'd see in the space battle parts of the original Battlefront 1 and 2, that you're to attack the support ships that are going alongside your main frigates, and then you're, of course, supposed to disable the main frigates themselves, too. Like in this case, we've got the Star Destroyer. You're supposed to take out shield batteries. You're supposed to take out turrets and that flying over. That right there is 1-for-1 with the original Battlefront space battles. Like literally 1-for-1. So I'm excited about that. They did confirm though today, Kyle. I don't know if you had seen that or not. They did confirm the game will all be in first-person cockpit view. There won't be a view that changes you to fly the ship outside of the ship.
I didn't see that, but again, I'm okay with that. I don't feel like there are enough games that are, um, I guess, in the wheelhouse of, fighter pilot or mech pilot that you get the cockpit view.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it provides a level of immersion that, yeah, the third person games are great, but to me that's a little arcadey. Like I want to be a little bit more immersed into the game than that, and this cockpit view thing I think is really cool.
I think that's going to be good. And I think what that's going to do is it's also going to offer a level of an even playing field for those who play in VR against those who don't play in VR. So that way you're not going to run into this issue where, say, someone in VR has to be forced inside of the cockpit and someone who's not playing VR has the option to switch to the outside and the inside. So I think that's where it's going to level it out and say, well, this is a fighter game. You're going to be flying inside a ship here. You need to stay inside the cockpit. Offer a level of realism, I suppose. And if all
Right.
the displays up in front of you are going to update with real time information like shield health, ship health, any of that, that's going to be important, of course, to be in there. So I think that's cool. But yeah, of course, that was announced, and they're talking about a release. I think they said October 10th of this year. Let me see if I could find that date again real quick. October 2nd, excuse me. So October 2nd of this year. This will not be a launch title for PS5 or Xbox Series X. There will probably be a upgraded version on those consoles, but this will be coming out before those drop. So something, of course, keep us busy going into the holidays. Two last things, of course, were announced here. There was something shown off for Bioware, I guess, that dealt with that they are working on something, and a lot of it was really emphasizing, of course, on some giant tree. And then, of course, another big one, surprise out of left field, Skate 4.
Yeah, the public brought it back.
Yes, they did. They really did. Like, I remember, was it Chance the Rapper actually dropped the tweet to EA and said, hey, we need Skate 4. I'm desperate for Skate 4. And then sure enough, as soon as they came out and announced it, they replied back, just with Skate 4 exclamation point on his, to his tweet. So, yeah, so there was nothing shown off. All it was the producer and designer of the original Skate games, of course, coming back. And they are in the midst of working on Skate 4, but they had nothing to show. They just said they were working on it. So that's
Yeah, so it is heavy in development right now.
yeah. I wonder if some of it was I wonder if they got their hand forced a bit by the announcement of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater remaster.
Well, that and what's the one game that's out on Steam in early access? Skater or just I'm trying to remember the game.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I didn't even know there was something on Steam, but I can't imagine.
Skater XL.
Skater X style.
Skater XL.
Skater XL.
It's
okay.
an early access game, but it runs kind of off the same premise as Skate. This one actually launched, I want to say, back in 2018. So it's been in development for a while. But it also relies heavily on a physics engine that Skate doesn't have.
Okay.
But I think the fact that Skater XL has been in development for a while now, it's been getting a lot of buzz. You got, like you said, the Tony Hawk game announcement. it's kind of a given that we were going to see Skate 4. People have been clamoring for it for a long time now.
Yeah, that's very true. I would just wonder really if their hand was forced, like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and like kind of soft work on this here and come up with some ideas on how we can make this truly next gen. And here comes the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 2 announcement, and then what you just said on Steam. So there's a revitalization and a kind of like bringing back of wanting skateboarding games. And I think Tony Hawk kind of probably kicked it off, and now here we are, which cool with me. I mean, add the diversity, of course, to the game market, so we're not stuck with just one skating game. But
Oh yeah.
I think that's going to be cool. I'm still picking up Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster though. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move in here into our next story. That was everything from the EA Play. If you guys want to catch that, the whole live stream VOD, of course, is up on their YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out. Let's move into this next one, and this one kind of hits me a little different here for a different reason. I'll explain why, of course, as we go through the story. This one comes to us from The Verge. The FDA just approved the first prescription video game, and it's for kids with ADHD. It might not look like much of a video game, but Keeley Interactive's Endeavor RX, formerly Project Evo, may go down in history. It is the first video game that can legally be marketed and prescribed as medicine in the United States. That's the landmark decision from the Food and Drug Administration, which is authorizing doctors to prescribe the iPhone and iPad game for kids between the ages of 8 and 12 years old with ADHD after it underwent 7 years of clinical trials that studied over 600 children to figure out whether a game could actually make a difference. According to the company's favorite of the 5 studies, the answer is yes. 1/3 of kids treated no longer had a measurable attention deficit on at least one measure of objective attention after playing the obstacle dodging target collecting game for 25 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 4 weeks. So, yeah, it's very interesting, of course, on this that we actually have a video game that can be prescribed now as an actual treatment for ADHD in kids.
I wonder if this is gonna throw up all sorts of red flags for people that are campaigning about video game addiction, though.
That's actually something that has been talked about with this too.
Yeah, because it seems like we're using the fact that we can say it's ADHD, but you're saying that these kids are playing for 25 minutes a day, 4 to 5 days a week. That's like a crack addiction.
Not necessarily. I mean,
I
okay.
mean, well, you know what I'm getting at, though. Like, it's maybe to them, it could be, you're getting a child to play this game every day, on a consistent basis, same time of day, to a point. I mean, what happens when you just take it away? Are they going to be like, "Where's my game? What are you doing? Why can't I have my game?"
Well, so I kind of see your side of that. I can understand the addiction part of it. I think the biggest thing, though, that to really kind of take away from this, though, anyway, is that it's 25 minutes a day for 5 days a week for 5 weeks. So you're talking 25 days total of playing this. You're talking a minuscule amount of time in the grand scheme of video games and content consumption that I don't see this really necessarily being a problem compared to something like playing Minecraft or Fortnite or anything else, especially for a lot of the kids who have been home because of the pandemic. They are playing a lot of games right now, and this is something that definitely has that in there because this game wasn't built. And I can bring the video up on it here in a second, but the game wasn't necessarily built, from what I've seen, to be one of those games that has that sense of like an addiction to it, because a lot of it requires the kids to focus to be able to reach their goals. And it's retraining their brains to actually do a lot of this. So it might hit some of the addiction stuff, but I see it more on the inverse, is that because it's a short amount of time, and that I can only imagine that the game has probably safeguards in it that says once you hit those 25 minutes for the day, you can't get back into the game. I mean, it's like a medication. You're told take 2 pills a day. You're taking 1 pill twice a day. You don't take any more unless there's some sort of mistake on your own part, but you've got the instructions there. So it's up to the parents to enforce that. So it's very crazy, though, to actually see this game itself actually be, a prescription of sorts, though. But all it is that the kids are just supposed to focus on collecting these little creature things as they're hovering around. It's like a you remember Temple Run? Like
That's exactly what I was gonna compare it to.
Yeah, it's kind of like Temple Run, but instead of like just running and telling yourself to like, okay, you get to this point, you keep running, and then you flick. What you do is you just you're following along a path, though, kind of moving yourself side to side and collecting all these different creatures. So it's requiring focus, but of course it's in a different fashion than, compared to a shooter game or going into Minecraft, because Minecraft has an objective to it, but you can go and do anything you want in that game without even going to the Ender Dragon or finding a dungeon or anything. You can just build everything on the surface if you want. So this game, of course, has purpose. But the reason why I don't
know. I guess when I hear about stuff like this, my brain just goes in, a million different directions. And like another direction that my head kind of goes is that, if this works and, parents read this article and they can self-diagnose like so many people do, that their kids are ADHD, what's to stop them from downloading this game or downloading Temple Run and saying, oh, well, you have to play this now because we're telling you to? I don't know. It's a little weird.
I guess, yeah. I mean, there are different levels, of course. I'm not going to diagnose my kids with ADHD because that's not my job. I don't have the skill to do that. I am ADHD. I have been diagnosed ADHD, and I've been on medication for it. So, and I have been ADHD my entire life. I've only just been on medication as of this year, and it's definitely changed things for me. But I wonder if I maybe had something like this as a kid, would that have helped? Even like they do say in the study, of course, though, that it was a short term to help kind of reestablish things for at least a month. But in reality, I think any progress is better than no progress, especially in treating ADHD, where as we were kids, Kyle, the biggest thing for us was either, oh, he's just hyperactive, this is just how he is, or you get medication. You're going to see somebody about it, you're seeing a doctor, you get the meds, and you go on about it. Now we have something that's definitely alternative to the medication, that I really hope will, not lead the way you're talking about self-diagnosis, where people are getting this game for their kids. I wouldn't want that.
But my final point I would bring up, though, too, is that I think it's really cool that something like a video game that coming out of the entertainment industry can be so beneficial in this front. If long-term studies show that, this is an effective relief method of ADHD,
Yeah, if it offers the actual value to the kid and to the parent to kind of bypass some things without actually going the full route of medication, then that's in my book, that's a win. But of course, you and I are not doctors. I am a parent, but in reality, you've got other people to talk to that are not us to make the decisions for you. And you need to go, if this is something you want to consider, it doesn't actually say how to get the game anyway, even if they prescribe it. Like, let's see, they have their website up here. It doesn't, they had their website here somewhere. I was actually going to see if I could find it. Like how you actually get into the game itself. Yeah, because that's what I'm just wondering. Because it even says here it's not a substitute. I'm on their website right now. Let me go ahead and bring this up for the audience here. So it even says here as a disclaimer that Endeavor RX treatment is not a substitute for your child's ADHD medication. So if you are on medication, of course, for your kid, then don't pull them off of them and then just put it on this. This is to supplement what they're actually on right now. The question, though, is like, you join you're joining the program here. You're joining a wait list, but I don't know how anything else works from here. Like it's something you can download, I guess, to the iPhone and the iPad, but it doesn't say you need to, have your doctor send in an email to them to open it up or anything. There, I don't see any of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is interesting. Okay. So I don't know. Again, as someone who's just newly diagnosed as ADHD and has been on meds only for this year, and I guess was determined to be ADHD for the majority of life, that's cool. If my kids end up being diagnosed this way, then maybe I'll look into doing something like this for them. But again, it's an option, but we're not the experts here. Consult your doctor, consult your kids' counselor, therapist, whoever they're seeing. Make sure you're going through the right channels to get them, whatever help they need before you just jump into this and say, "Oh yeah, my kid's got it. I'm treating it this way." Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next story here, Kyle, and this one's a nice little fun one. This one's from GameSpot. The World Video Game Hall of Fame inducts 4 new games. As 4 new games have made their way into the World Video Game Hall of Fame at the Strong Museum in New York. There were 12 finalists that were picked for induction into the Hall of Fame for this year. So it looks like they do it around, of course, this time. So we'll see stuff again in 2021. The collection, which is made up of historically significant and high quality games, added 2 1980s classics and 2 games from the 2000s this year. So 4 of the inductees they added were out of this list of 12. So the 12 that they were looking at for finalists were Bejeweled, Centipede, Frogger, GoldenEye 007, Guitar Hero, King's Quest, Minecraft, NBA Jam, Nokia Snake, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, and Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? So out of the 4 games...
I feel like some of those don't belong.
So the biggest thing, again, is like I said at the beginning here, is the collection, which is made up of historically significant and high-quality games. Okay, granted, yes, Nokia Snake is not a high-quality game, but it is of historical significance, thinking about mobile gaming. Remember when the Nokia bricks were out? That was the game to play.
Really, it's just a port of Windows 3.1 Snake.
That's true. That is not wrong, but it definitely is historically significant in the sense of...
I'll give it
that.
To you.
Okay, yeah,
right.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I still see it as Windows 3.1 Snake.
Mm-hmm. So Bejeweled was the first game chosen. It was praised for popularizing the match 3 mechanic. Centipede was picked next, and that's the original Atari version from '81. One of the most commercially successful titles of the arcade's golden age. King's Quest also made the cut. Was released in 1984 and is considered a landmark title for narrative and storytelling games. Which one was King's Quest again? Like, I'm actually trying to remember which one. Okay.
I'm going to say they have a new version of it on Xbox.
I'm going to say I had to see the art from the box there. And then lastly, of course, the final edition was Minecraft, of all of them. I know it's going to make Preston very happy. They said... numerous reasons it's been a huge and very important game over the last decade. The video above contains reactions from many of the developers behind the games. 2019, they added Windows Solitaire, the original Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Kart, and Colossal Cave Adventure. And then previous inductees included Legend of Zelda, Halo Combat Evolved, Sonic the Hedgehog, and The Sims. So, yeah, I mean, we've got Bejeweled, Centipede, King's Quest, and Minecraft all now in the Video Game Hall of Fame. So, congrats.
I just don't understand how Frogger and GoldenEye aren't there already.
I agree with you. I'm actually surprised that they're not, but maybe.
Yeah, and Centipede, they're how is it not there already as well? I don't know. It just boggles me, but
no,
I guess I'm not on that board, so
maybe that's why. Because we can't have everything here, Kyle, be Call of Duty Warzone or Half-Life. Just kidding.
Half-Life goes on every list, along with Untitled Goose Game.
Yes, that one has some historical significance. So let's move on here into the next story. I'm not even going to do the camera transitions here. So this one comes just from Engadget, and of course this one was a big one in the grand scheme of Coronavirus Net 2. Cyberpunk 2077 is delayed yet again until November 19th. So CD Projekt Red has postponed Cyberpunk 2077 yet again. It moved the release date back another 2 long months from September 17th to November 19th. So let me go ahead and read the actual note here from CD Projekt Red that they posted up on Twitter. We have decided to move the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 from September 17th to November 19th. Those of you who are familiar with the way we make games know that we won't ship something which is not ready. Ready when it's done is not just a phrase we say because it sounds right. It's something we live by even when we know we'll take the heat for it. At the same time, we are fully aware that making such a decision costs us your trust, and trading trust for additional time is one of the hardest decisions a game developer can make. And despite we think it's the right decision for the game, we'd still like to apologize for making you wait longer. Our intention is to make Cyberpunk 2077 something that will stay with you for years to come. In the end, we hope you'll understand why we did what we did. At the time we were writing these words, Cyberpunk 2077 is finished both in content and gameplay-wise. The quests, the cutscenes, the skills, and items, all the adventures Night City has to offer, it's all there. But with such an abundance of content and complex systems interweaving with each other, we need to properly go through everything, balance game mechanics, and fix a lot of the bugs. A huge world means a huge number of things to iron out, and we will spend the additional time doing exactly that. So they go on to say, of course, in their announcement, this week, journalists from all over the world are starting to independently play the game. We are eager and quite stressed to hear their opinions, as well as see your reactions when they publish their previews right after we air Night City Wire on the 25th of June. We hope this will satisfy some of your hunger for the game as we work to polish it for the November launch. So Marcin Iwinski and Adam Badowski, the co-founder and head of studio, both wrote that note there. So yeah, it looks like we are getting a delay on Cyberpunk 2077, Kyle.
Is it really shocking, though?
No.
I mean, everything going on. I'm not trying to be, like, mean about it or anything. Let's be real. They've wanted to release this game in, like, the most perfect condition since they announced it. They've been saying, we want to give you this super great experience, and they've been going on and on about the experience. Now, this is a huge undertaking when you look at the scope of everything that's going on in Night City and all the customization and everything. And yeah, while everything is done, I don't think it's shocking. I don't think it's anything to get upset about. If anything, it's just them, saying, hey, we're still here. And we know the world is going on right now. So we're going to have to pump our brakes a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly fine for them, though, too, especially on a game of this scale and all of the games of scale that that CD Projekt Red has actually put out. So I think in support of them, yes, this absolutely makes sense. It is upsetting because that is a game I'm actually excited to play. I will say that I am a little upset that it is delayed, but I do get it. With a game of that size, you do want to make sure that everything is ironed out, at least to the best of your ability. And when it hits PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, it'll have a few bugs to probably work out, here and there. I think PC is going to be their biggest challenge, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're working right now.
The other thing I would say, though, too, is good on them for, the moment they knew something, they just came forward and they said, hey, guys, sorry, whereas other companies would, put it on the back burner until, it gets close to that date that they have to hit. And then they go, hey, guys, whoops.
I think what's also good, though, is that, of course, like they said in the announcement, is that there are some of the game journalists that actually have a copy of this already. The best thing, though, at least, is that whatever release, whatever it's in right now, like whatever state it's in, hopefully they'll be able to gain at least some good feedback through whatever those journalists are actually playing through. And I don't know when we're going to hear much about that. Actually, I think they said in the release there, let me see if I can see that again. I got to go back through here. Okay, so they're actually going to, looks like the embargo on them to release preview information is going to be before the Night City Wire live stream next Thursday, the 25th. So I'm sure probably somewhere between Monday and Thursday of this next week, we're probably going to start seeing some more, see some Cyberpunk 2077 preview articles and videos from all the different places that we follow, which is going to be neat to see at least what state it's in now. But yeah, CD Projekt Red, just keep going on it. We're eagerly waiting and anticipating, an awesome game to play. So let's move on to the next story here, and this one comes to us from VG247. Xbox Series X hardware will power xCloud servers next year, per report. Microsoft is reportedly already planning for Xbox One S hardware not to stick around too long on xCloud servers. According to The Verge's Tom Warren, Microsoft will make Xbox Series X the default baseline hardware spec for its streaming service Project xCloud. Though its service has only ever been available through limited tests, Xbox One S is currently the console powering those games. The jump from that to the Xbox Series X would be massive, and it's going to happen in 2021, according to Warren. Tom Warren here from The Verge had a couple tweets that are put onto this article. It says Microsoft's planning to upgrade Project Cloud to Xbox Series X hardware in 2021. At launch, okay, so it'll still be run on Xbox One S blades. And then xCloud apparently is also supposed to launch sometime this year using existing Xbox One S hardware. So it sounds like it's going to be bundled possibly with Game Pass. So I'm sure we're probably going to see some sort of paid subscription to xCloud or whatever they're actually going to call the final product with Game Pass. So you're going to pay $15 a month and get game downloads, Xbox Live, and the streaming for, one flat price.
Though, I honestly feel like this should be part of the Ultimate Game Pass.
Yeah, because it's $15 a month that we're paying right now, isn't it?
An additional 10. If you buy it separate, it's an additional 10. Otherwise, I want to say it's bundled in at like 5 or 7, but I don't know. So it's weird. It's a weird number if you do it monthly. It's like $15.99 a month or something like that.
Let's see here. So I'm already paying for it. I don't remember exactly how much I pay for it. So I just want to see what the cost is here. Yeah, here we go. This is the link, I think. Let's see. Yeah, so Ultimate is Xbox Live Gold, unlimited access to games on PC and console, $14.99 a month. So otherwise, right now, if you wanted to join early, it is just $1 for the first month to go ahead and kind of get your feet wet. And then for PC, it's $5, and for console, it's $10. So they've got a deal going on with the PC side of it. It's originally $9.99 a month. They've got it down to $15, but overall price, or they got it down to $5. So buying or getting Ultimate is actually the best value you can get for $15 a month, which I thought that was what I had. So neat. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it'll probably bundle it. But do you think it's going to go up in price? Do you think it's going to bring the price up to maybe $19.99 a month, or do you think Microsoft is going to bite the bullet and allow the price to stay the same?
I don't know.
Well, of course you don't. That's why we're here, because we read the news and we talk about it and we try to figure out what they're going to
do. I really hope that it stays the same.
Me too.
I could see them, though, possibly charging an additional $5 or $10 for the service. I think they've got a lot of ground to cover, though, before they make it to where they can charge $5 to $10 for the service. But then again, I also live in a state that is in the bottom, 10 states for internet,
Actually, I'm curious to see.
On average, I want to say our state, granted, in Cheyenne, it's not so bad, but in our state, average internet speed is like 30 to 35 megabytes, I want to say.
Yeah, this one here's a little...
really poor.
Yeah, this one here's a little older, but this is from Broadband Now. So it says U.S. states with worst and best internet coverage. So best state, so number one is New Jersey at an average speed of 52 megabits per second. And we are... Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you can definitely count us as that one. Wyoming is 46th at 26.8 megabits per second average, which unfortunately for us compared to New Jersey, where everything's very tightly packed and that state is small but has a lot of people, the biggest difference for us is that we're very rural. I mean, we've got more cows and antelope in this state than we do people.
Yes.
So yeah, that's very true there. I wonder, here's actually a new one. Let's see where things are at. We're actually still 46. Okay. So the actual update here to this back on March 3rd says that, yeah, we're still at 46, and the still top number one state is New Jersey. So, jeez. I mean, even with us anyway, too, the biggest thing is that, like, we're kind of in a monopoly here for internet anyway. So yeah, you're right. That's going to really
Very
affect,
true.
and that's why it's like things like Game Pass or the game streaming and Stadia and PlayStation Now and GeForce Now and all of that is not going to really take hold in our state, no matter how much they want to. The only way you're going to get a fast internet connection is if you live in one of the larger cities, Cheyenne, Casper, I guess Laramie is an example. Or even I guess if you go up to more of like the elitist level, like, Jackson, you're going to see a lot of the higher speeds there. I mean, hell, we got a Microsoft data center, down the road.
Right.
So you're going to see a lot of those higher speeds, especially in the larger towns. But as soon as you start getting out of there, you're talking potentially DSL, but still dial up or mobile hotspot or satellite internet. I know there's a big push out here in the rural stuff to use some sort of like terrestrial antenna based internet too, where you slap an antenna on the side of your house and it points to a tower and it receives it that way. It's not fast. Latency, of course, gets impacted when there's a thunderstorm with lightning in that. But yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I think it needs to be priced well enough, of course, but you're not going to see adoption in those states where they definitely rank lower just because of that fact. Just
That
because,
and you got to think too, about the success of Stadia. Um, they're giving away free months of it right now
mm-hmm.
because maybe it is because of the pandemic, but I assume a big portion of that has to do with the fact that it just isn't taking on as well as it
Mm-mm.
should. And granted, the idea of the service is awesome. It's just right now they don't have the ability to execute it across the board all over the nation
Yeah.
because of internet.
That's no, you're right. That's a big one. So that study I was actually just looking at said that while we ranked lower, the price percentage, of course, of affordable internet was only like at 19 something percent. Which I don't know exactly what that variable is. I didn't read deeper into it, but our average speed test run was 108 megabits per second. So again, I think that's because the majority of people are doing speed tests are in the larger towns. So that's what sets up the speed test part there, of course, to have those faster speeds.
Right.
But yeah, so like I'm looking right now, of course, on the Stadia part. It looks like the only thing that people can actually see, like for Stadia, a lot of people are going off of like the app installs. 500,000 installs on the Google Play Store for the Stadia app, and we know you can use that to curate and pick stuff up off the store and play games through it. But that's it. Other than, of course, the population for Destiny 2 we talked about in another news thing, God, last year. You're talking, at that point was like what, less than 20,000 players. So anyway, I know we're kind of going off on this one, but I find it interesting in the grand scheme, of course, of streaming stuff, and that too is that you're underserving a whole level of your population that could probably make better use of it than, say, those who live in a, like here, like where we live, because we have better access to, consoles and PCs and that too. Whereas, people who travel around and do stuff for work probably need that better broadband connection. They can take advantage of this. You got your oil field workers, your miners, for any of the mines that are still open in our state, any of that. So there needs to be a larger push, of course, on that, and then you'll see probably a higher adoption rate. But yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Anything else to consider on that? I mean, it's game streaming. It works when it works.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to be able to see it, like I said, just provided through the Game Pass. I mean, they have the Game Pass app right now. The streaming app, I think, is technically just a beta app. So there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to just tie it into the Ultimate Game Pass. Um, I don't know. I feel like doing that, driving just that specific membership, would also possibly help drive console sales. So I could see them wrapping it into that membership, but also saying, here's a way that we can shoo you into, getting a console, getting, on our PC platform, because you'll be able to play the games that you have access to on your phone, or you'll be able to play the games on your console that you have access to you on your phone, and use the save files as well. So maybe that might be something to consider as well, especially for some people that are like on the go constantly. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it does really come down to that internet. It's really cool that they're going to be using the newer X, or the, what was it? Sorry,
The Series
the
X
Series
hardware.
X to power it. Brain
Mm-hmm.
fart there. Um, and I think that'll help bridge some of that gap as far as like processing,
Mm-hmm.
but until we see some definite, I don't know, some definite love to the United States internet,
Yeah.
just as a whole, charging an exorbitant amount for, just specifically for the service, I think it'd be absurd at this point.
I think so too. I think you don't want to alienate that part of it. I know we're kind of getting on this one a little bit longer, but I
Yeah,
think
kind
this
of
is a
on a
good.
tangent, but
I
yeah.
know it's okay. I'm just saying is I think this is a good one to talk about anyway, because you're all right. The state of the internet in the United States is just, it's not up there where it needs to be compared to some of our the neighboring countries that have definitely got better connections out there. Fiber to the home is not a wild thing, but because you have such a monopoly on internet in a lot of these towns, like of course for ours, we got Spectrum for internet here for cable. For DSL, of course, it's CenturyLink, or if you kind of use a third party that just piggybacks on them. I know of a few places that are still using dial-up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then satellite and terrestrial. But that's the problem, is that you don't have variety here. And I guess I'll use kind of I I know we got a platform here and we're talking about this, but it's definitely one thing to bring up is the advent of municipalities that are actually creating their own broadband and selling that back to their community. So yeah, I'm live, Ben. I can't talk. I can't talk.
It's not bedtime right now.
Yeah, it is. Go. I knew he was going to do that. I was sending him to bed. Anyway, so you see a lot of that, and especially into Colorado. Like Loveland is a good example, where Loveland actually controls their own internet. Comcast actually launched a huge campaign and spent a ton of money on commercials to dissuade people from voting for it when they had their general elections. Both for local, state, and federal. But they all voted on it. They've actually built it out. They've got synchronous gig fiber to the home in Loveland.
That's awesome.
And it's for the exact same price as Spectrum's internet here in town, at 100 megabits per second down, 10 megabits per second up, for $70 a month. It's the exact same price.
Wow.
Yeah, and you're talking that fiber internet synchronous. I know, of course, there's a whole logistical thing with the infrastructure in that, but it's not impossible. We just don't have it here, and of course, Spectrum is going to be bringing gig internet here, which is 950 megs down and 35 megs up, but it's all on copper. It's not synchronous, it's asynchronous. It's going to be fast to get things in, but to get things out, you're still going to be slowed down. So I don't know. Okay. I've added to your tangent, okay, Kyle? I have made it very clear, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, in the grand scheme, of course, it's cool that Microsoft is upgrading the hardware. It's necessary with the next-gen console coming out to get the platforms that are using this to match. Otherwise, there's no value to it. But until the internet situation improves in the United States for especially the bottom half of that list, everybody from number 25 down, or number 26 down, you're going to run into issues, of course, with adoption. and it's just going to turn or kind of come back around on Microsoft just the same way with Google. Is there any value in us putting more money in this, or do we just turn it off and go? So, yeah. All right, I'm done. I'm done there. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to these next two stories here, Kyle, that you, of course, contributed. I'm going to let you run with these ones here. Talk to us about Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, so Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to early access in August. Probably. Maybe due to COVID-19 challenges. So, during a Guerrilla Games Collective live stream, a new trailer for Baldur's Gate 3 announced the RPG is coming to early access in August. Probably, maybe, as Larian CEO Swen Vicky, I'm not certain how to pronounce your last name. Sorry.
Vinky? Swen yeah. Vinky? Okay, I don't know.
Sorry for butchering that, Sven. The studio is working hard towards the goal, but development challenges from COVID-19 might delay their plans. We've been hit like everybody else in the world. Nonetheless, we managed to make a lot of progress, so we think we're going to make it. Mm-hmm. Vinky pointed out to performance capture as one potential roadblock between them and early access release. He also listed out a number of changes to the game since it's last been seen, including graphical improvements, combat tweaks, and changes to the narrator. We'll get to see more of Baldur's Gate 3 soon with an interactive live stream on June 18th. So that actually happened yesterday. I must have missed that one, I guess, or missed that part of a live stream because I've been in and out of live streams while working on school stuff. But yeah, something maybe to look forward to in August for those big D&D fans out there. I know I'll probably try and hop in on it if it goes to early access.
I never played a Baldur's Gate.
They're long. It's that isometric point and click style turn-based RPG, but very, very much reliant on the D&D format.
Okay. So basically it's just like playing D&D but not playing D&D.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been looking forward to Baldur's Gate for a little while now. I thought this was a cool thing to announce. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take us.
And then going into our final article for this evening.
Last story.
Yeah. We have some news that Gearbox sues 3D Realms over Duke Nukem again. The lawsuit is actually the result of a lawsuit filed by Duke Nukem composer Bobby Prince last year. In 2014, Gearbox sued 3D Realms and Inceptor Entertainment over Duke Nukem Mass Destruction, a top-down action RPG they were developing without the approval of Gearbox, which acquired the property in 2010. The case was settled a year later. Gearbox was affirmed as the full owner of Duke Nukem Mass Destruction, morphed into Bombshell, and was well into last year when composer Bobby Prince filed suit against Gearbox, Valve, and Randy Pitchford over music he'd written for Duke Nukem 3D, which he claimed was used without permission in the Gearbox-published Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour. Now Gearbox has filed a new lawsuit against Apogee Software, the legal name of 3D Realms, and co-founders Scott Miller and George Broussard. The alleges breach of contract in relation to the sale of Duke Nukem IP a decade ago. But Gearbox is saying that 3D Realms failed to mention that it didn't own the music when it sold the Duke Nukem rights. Gearbox purchased all intellectual properties related to Duke Nukem video game series, the Duke Nukem IP, as it were, from 3D Realms, the lawsuit states. In the asset purchase... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're still carrying on with the story. I'm just getting annoyed because I don't know what to say. It's so
Yeah,
frustrating.
it's really weird. So they do go to say that in the asset purchase agreement, 3D Realms represented the Gearbox, or represented two Gearbox that the Duke Nuke IP was owned free and clear by 3D Realms, and that 3D Realms had the right to use the Duke IP without payment to third party. 3D Realms further warranted in the APA that no copyright was infringed by the use of the Duke IP in the Duke Nukem video game series. According to Prince's lawsuit, he only licensed some of Duke Nukem's music to 3D Realms. If the case, then it means 3D Realms failed to deliver Duke Nukem free and clear as stipulated in the purchase contract. Gearbox says 3D Realms had also refused to indemnify it against Prince claims, which was part of his purchase deal. So really and truly, it sounds like, at least without me continuing on for the last like two paragraphs, what I'm seeing right now is it's the case of a third party that was hired to do a job, and this is a big thing when it comes to creatives, and not a little bit in the game world, but you see it more for like music and art.
Mm-hmm.
A person was hired third party for a project that was eventually used as a bigger project for something, but the fact that they sold their license, or I guess the fact is because they were hired to do that one project, the person that hired them actually owns all the licensed properties to that, is I think what's coming up here, and the original composer is not having it.
Yeah, see, I had to go look up the name because for some reason the name kind of like just was stuck in the back of my head. I was trying to actually figure it out. I thought this was the same composer who did the Doom Eternal stuff and was in the midst of like the whole lawsuit controversy with id and Bethesda. Right, Bethesda? Yeah. Just because of all of this. Just like, I thought it was, but no, I had to go look and see if it was a different person. And of course, thankfully it was. When you're getting into the world of royalties and video game music especially, it's becoming more of a pain to try not to step on anybody's toes unless it's truly like blatant. Like the Last of Us 2. I think did we talk about it last week? The music that, yeah, I think we did. The music that was taken from like a cover that some woman had done, and they just blatantly ripped it off by like re-recording what she had done, even the same like remixes that or remixed parts that she did. So that's a big, that was a big thing there. This is just it's just a re-release of another game, and I don't know exactly how this is going to go in the grand scheme of contracts, but you just got to be freaking careful to make sure that you are covered.
Oh, most definitely. And actually, it does go to say that CEO of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford, told Digital Trends that he believes Prince's claims are legitimate, but ultimately it's up to the court, and that we're literally in the middle of either Bobby is right and deserves to be paid, in which case 3D Realms is wrong, or 3D Realms is right and Bobby is wrong, Pitchford said. And we don't know, so we need to bring a judge and have a look at things from both sides. And that's quoting him directly from the article. So
right, but I guess the biggest thing here that Gearbox is going to be going and presenting is like what it's going to be presenting is just that Apogee Software, or formerly, or 3D Realms anyway, basically covered their, like, did not CYA and sold the game without mentioning that, there were the third-party rights to it anyway, that it's like, yeah, we actually hit, like, our composers, the guy who made the music for us is supposed to continuously make money from this as the game continues to sell, and that, I guess includes the remaster anyway, because if it is the same music. So I think this is going to come out in favor of Gearbox, but I see Gearbox, of course, at least in the initial part, depending on how things go, they're going to have to pay out some money to the composer, at least in the short term, until there's a final ruling. So which is why I think that was where it mentioned here at the very end and talking about whatever further relief the court determines is justified. I think the further relief might go in line that says, 3D Realms is going to have to pay this much in the future or this much on top of what they're going to be paying Gearbox back for. So I think there's going to be probably even more money. But of course, they don't talk about actual value here. And I have a feeling there probably won't be a value shared. I think it'll probably be something like sealed away that we won't ever hear. I don't know. I'm not a music producer. I don't know exactly how much money there is behind it, but I assume there's quite a bit, especially in very popular games. So, yeah, man, I would say a light week in the news per se, but that's a bit bad, actually. It's been a pretty good week. I mean, we're still kind of coming off of the PS5 announcement and still a lot of questions going on around that right now, too, which, quick question for you, Kyle. I don't remember if I dropped the link to you or not, but did you see the actual render that someone made of the PlayStation 5? They made a render of it based on, of course, those size, like how people had made the chart of the USB port and the disc tray and made comparisons to other consoles for the same size parts to actually scale the PS5. Did you see that graphic?
No,
okay.
I didn't.
So what this guy did, I'm actually trying to find it. I tweeted it out on the NPCs Twitter page. Yeah, let me grab the link here. We can talk about this one really quick, and then we can wrap up for the night. But I thought you might actually like seeing this, though. This thing is huge. So let me share. Let me go ahead and jump back into Chrome Capture. We'll talk about this as kind of like the last thing. So this guy here did his best, of course, to render and scale out what the PlayStation 5 would look like next to the Switch Lite and the Xbox One X. According to the actual creator of these renders, the Xbox One X and the Switch Lite are real. And he did not render those in at all. He just used them, of course, for scale. So yeah, if you get a chance to look at this, though, too, he's definitely got more. That thing is a beast.
Yeah, that's pretty massive.
Yeah, and I mean, it towers over the Xbox Series X. Like Xbox, I'm going to actually find a picture of it here, too. Xbox Series X versus PS5 size. Because we talked about, I'm sure we talked about this a little bit here. Like, someone actually had a scale picture. And I don't remember where it got shared at here. Yeah, I think this will actually work. I just want the picture. I don't want the article. There we go. Okay. So
that is insanely big if that's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me copy this one here to you. So there's a link to another scale size to show it in comparison to some of the others, and I'll bring this up here. So here you guys go. You can see, of course, sorry for my little hover zoom thing here, but you guys can actually see in the scale of things that the Xbox One X on its side should be just a little shorter than the Xbox Series X. And then the PlayStation 4, I believe that's just the 4. I don't know if that's the Pro.
That is the Pro.
That is the Pro?
3 tiers.
Okay,
yes.
I couldn't remember shape. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because the original PlayStation, it was flat and then had a little groove in it for the disc, and that was it. But you can actually see it here. But someone actually took the time to make the renders in that previous tweet, and now you can see here, in regards to the actual scale, what that will look like. And you thought that the Series X was going to be a beast. Now you're going to have to try to figure out where the hell to put this VCR of a console in your entertainment center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought
that is insanely big.
I thought that was a fun one to bring up for you, though, just to kind of finish things off, because people have been researching it. People have been investing in it to try to figure out, it's like, okay, if it's going to be this big, like, what kind of like space requirements am I going to have to provide to make this like fit in my console, in my environment? The Xbox Series X, like I'm already looking right now here at my entertainment center down here. I can see where I can put it. It's not going to be down here, but I can see where I can put it that would fit okay. But the PlayStation 5, I can't see anywhere else. Like, I'm going to have to hang it from the ceiling like my wireless router just to be able to find a spot for it. So, yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, anyway, I thought we'd share that. Of course, we talked about that here on the stream. Kyle, I don't think there's really anything else to bring up news-wise, right?
Only thing I saw was an article that popped up as I was scrolling our last article. It was an article posted by PC Gamer 9 days ago, actually, that Bloodstained Ritual of the Night hit 1 million sales just recently, and
Cool.
we're gonna get a year's worth of content updates to celebrate. So we're gonna be getting an extra character, a boss revenge mode, and some extra little goodies in the game. So if you haven't checked it out and you're a big Castlevania fan, definitely do so. It's basically the spiritual successor of Symphony of the Night. So that's my last 2 cents. Yeah, I just saw that, and you know how much I love Castlevania and Bloodstained, so
Yes, I do.
kind of some cool extra news.
Well, cool. Well, with all of that said, thanks everybody for tuning in to our live stream here. I'm glad we were able to at least keep it a little shorter than we had last time. Don't forget, of course, that if you're watching us on Facebook and you're not following or you have liked the NPCs page, make sure to do so. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. I apologize, we've been a little light on the videos as of late. I think between all of us, we've been rather busy with just life in general. So we'll try to just be better about that and try to get some more videos up for you guys here soon. We'll have new podcast episodes out, of course, this next week. And if you feel like helping out the podcast as well, though, too, you can help us out. We did turn on listener contributions this last week. Just go to anchor.fm/the-npcs-podcast and there is a listener support link on our page there. You just select that. And you can actually subscribe to the podcast for as little as 99 cents a month. And all that money, of course, is not to pay any of us. All that money would be rolled right back into the podcast for us to buy better equipment to start working towards increasing the quality of some of the things we have as well, though, too. And possibly look into maybe an actual editor that's not me, because I spend probably about what feels like 15 hours a week of NPC stuff. It's a lot. So, yeah, it'd be great to actually have that so we can have someone who has a little bit more experience in this environment to help us out. Anyway, Kyle, thank you, man, again for joining me, as always, dude.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. And to all of you, thank you again so much. We will catch you all in the next live stream. Good night.
Bye.